The Rolls-Royce of EVs is finally here. And I don't say that flippantly. When Rolls-Royce made the Spectre EV that you see right here, they wanted it to be a Rolls-Royce first and an EV second. By the looks of it, they seem to have accomplished their goal. But the question is, what is it like behind the wheel? Let's hop in and find out. Hey guys, Pras here with Yahoo Finance and my buddy Horatio from BMW blog. We are in the brand new Rolls-Royce Spectre EV ultra luxury coupe. Horatio, you've driven this car already. I'm now in this driver's seat. What are your main takeaways? What do you think about this car?
So first of all, let's start with where we are, right? Because that's very Rolls-Royce, right? So before we talk about that, we're in Napa Valley, right? So typical Rolls-Royce customer probably come here and enjoy dinners and wine and all of that. But of course, we're here to just test the car and do a little bit of the other thing maybe too. But talking about driving experience, honestly, I know Rolls-Royce have been hammering on us with the messaging that this is a Rolls-Royce first and then a second electric car. And even though it sounds like marketing when you hear that in the presentations, once you get behind the wheel, you asked me a couple of minutes in, so how does it feel? And I told you immediately that honestly it just feels like any other Rolls-Royce because it's so silent. You can't even tell you're in an electric car because everything inside, even when you look at the switches, the buttons and all of that, it just doesn't say this is an electric car. It just shows this is a Rolls-Royce. So my first impression was that it drives like a normal Rolls-Royce. Of course, you get a little bit more power off the line because of the instant torque you're getting from the electric drivetrain. So clearly no surprise there. But I guess one thing that we should be talking about, and you experience the same thing, is the fact that Rolls-Royce told us that in order to maintain that Rolls-Royce experience inside the car and for the driver not to get fired, they call it the champagne test.
Yeah.
Essentially, they don't want the car to be too aggressive off the line like typical electric cars. So that's why they induce this artificial lag in the acceleration to have a very linear and progressive power delivery.
Yeah, this is also part of my take here, in some sense, and I've been formulating it here, is this car is deeply impressive. It's so smooth. It's Rolls-Royce through and through. We know that. But I'm almost like, even with that acceleration, it's very gradual. You jam it, and it doesn't want to go really fast. It's smooth off the line. I guess what I'm saying is, I thought it'd be more different. Okay. It's not different at all compared to a regular V12 powered, super quiet, smooth Rolls-Royce. And that's not saying it's a bad thing, but I thought there might be something. I guess this is your way of getting the regular Rolls customer into an EV, maybe.
Yeah, because they said, they give us a figure, right? So they said 40% of the Spectre customers, first-time customers, they're brand new customers, 40% of them. Then of course you have the 60% that own already a Rolls-Royce. So essentially you can see already the people that want to buy this car, they're not buying it because they want necessarily just one Rolls-Royce. They want an alternative to a Rolls-Royce they have already. So.
And it's huge with the 40% new customers, conquest customers perhaps. They're also going younger. They're getting younger, more diverse. Women, people like that are interested in EVs and in particular entrepreneurs, people like that into this car. So I totally get it. They had to go here and they're ahead of their competitors, right? No, there's no Bentley EV, there's no Ferrari EV, there's no Aston Martin EV. You have this. Yeah. So I totally get it. It's a great car. It looks, let's talk about the looks. Yeah. That's, to me, I think that's the most important thing for this car. It's amazing.
It's beautiful. We've talked about that, that I feel like they took whatever was great with the Wraith and made it even better, even though they say it's not a Wraith car, which is not, but it's just so elegant, so beautiful, and it does remind me of that particular design, but in much, much nicer way. The lines are so fluid. They've talked about this, the car having the largest coach doors on any Rolls-Royce, which is cool. I guess they have a single piece of aluminum that was stamped, and they said that that's the longest on any Rolls-Royce ever done. So that's why you have that fluid coach line in the back, and the boat line. And I guess they said it's 6.5 meters long, which is incredible to have a single piece of that. But the lines are beautiful, and I feel like if you look at the car from the rear end, that's when you really see, the beauty of the car, and then maybe like a top view. From the front, it looks like a, massive Rolls, but if you look from the back, very fluid, very cool.
Yeah, it's funny, the waterfall grille remains, right? Yeah. It's so old school, but it's a Rolls-Royce, you have to have it. Yeah, you gotta keep it now. And you're right, it starts in the front, really kind of regal and sort of like just, not hulking, but it's Rolls, and then it's sort of beautiful, almost like, and I'm a big fan of the Continental GT car. It almost has that kind of vibe in terms of like great sides, buttoned up, nice, awesome rear end. So I'm loving all that. I think it's almost like, why didn't the Wraith look like that when it first came out? But I think they did a good job with really bringing Rolls to the future, and that design is wonderful. So a couple other things about this car. So with the dual motor setup, around 580 plus-ish horsepower, 102 kilowatt hour battery, which leads to around a 260 EPA estimated range because of how big this car is. So what do you think about that? I mean, it's good power numbers, but it's not blowing me away either, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I asked this question a few times, and the answer that I got was really based on customers' feedback. They feel like they don't need more power than that. They feel like that's more than enough, especially with that instant torque. And then when it comes to the range, of course, we worry about the range as normal people, let's put it that way. But a Rolls-Royce customers most likely has a house or multiple houses. Charging infrastructure shouldn't be an issue for them. Yeah. And honestly, if you're buying a $500,000 car for a $20,000 car, you can just pay someone $100 to go charge your car once in a while if you really need to, right? The bottom line is, I'm pretty sure all of their houses, they're already fitted with a charger, and if not, it's an easy install for them. So I also don't see the typical Rolls-Royce customer driving 260 miles in a single day. They might do it once in a while, but even if they do it then, this is probably their second car or their third car or their fourth car, so range shouldn't be an issue. So I feel like, sure, more range, it's always better, but I think also the charging capability is also more important. So if you want to do like DC fast charging, I asked them and they said you can go from 0 to 80% charge in about 34 minutes. So not too bad. If you always want to plug it in at the DC fast charge, you can use that and get decent range. So I'm sure this technology will improve in the future, where the range will go higher, but I don't think it's ever going to matter to a Rolls-Royce customer, to be honest.
So we've sort of heard about the kind of main metrics, why this car exists, who it's for, all that stuff, but we got to talk about some of the fun things that we've seen in this car. I say fun because they're pretty hilarious. For instance, the blinker, let's hear this here. Rolls-Royce said that they use a number of materials to figure out that blinking sound. It sounds like a blinker sound to me.
Yeah, so they actually wanted to kind of mimic the sound of a ping on a material kind of thing, like right there. So they wanted to give you the same sound, like when you touch it, a blinker, it makes it sound like you're actually blinking on something, or doing.
Yeah, it's like a material sort of analog type of thing. The hood ornament, the Spirit of Ecstasy, the most famous symbol probably in all of automotive, in the automotive world. They said they made it more aero for this car. The thing is the size of 2 inches, but made it more aero for this car. Also want to talk to you about the Rolls famous for the Starlight headliner that now added to the
doors as well. Yeah, so I guess that's a first in a Rolls-Royce. They said it, and you can inspect the car now with Starlight doors. I guess they call them like that. And essentially they wrap around the entire car, front and back. You're getting the same light experience that you used to get in other Rolls-Royce on the headliner and now on the doors as well. So that's a first also. They kept mentioning about the 55-degree angle of, on the cars. On the outside, you can see the taillights also being a 55-degree angle.
Why is that so important? Is there any reason for that? I mean,
I guess it's historical, and they're trying to keep those. It has to be an elegant shape at that angle. I'm not sure exactly. We can find out. But they're trying to keep the same theme inside as well, with this 55-degree angles in certain parts, and that's another Rolls-Royce mentality of paying attention to little details when it comes to the car. And I'm sure if you explore inside with a designer, with an engineer from Rolls-Royce, they will tell you probably a million unique things in the car that we would even be able to spot, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's actually an exact number for the amount of Starlight lights. It's like 4,700 something or other lights, and well, there you go. That's the Rolls-Royce attention to detail. So, we would be remiss without saying that this car starts at around $420,000 US, and then it's going to go upwards of there based on, customization is a huge part about the Rolls business. So you get those fat, juicy margins is adding stuff on. So I guess you would say this car is probably going to be a winner with their audience, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, if you look at the Ghost, right? I mean, the Ghost has been quite popular, especially because I feel like this one, just like the Ghost, it's a car that you want to drive, right? So it's not a car that you need a chauffeur for.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of customers, they will buy this car, they buy because they want to drive, an electric Rolls-Royce. So they will be their, maybe even their daily driver. So I have a feeling they will sell just as well as the Ghost, if not better, in time or immediately. I mean, I think, the last time that I talked to the Rolls-Royce CEO at Villa d'Este, he was telling me that I think they're sold out into 2025 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So it's.
We're talking about maybe a 1,000 or so a year, maybe.
They haven't mentioned. They almost never talk about projections when it comes to units to be built.
Right.
But who knows? Yeah, I mean, if it's such a long time to get the car, then I'm assuming, probably a very low number.
I'm with you on that. I think that this car is definitely going to be. Why would you get a Wraith, or why would you get a Ghost if you get this car, right? I mean, it's just
and asking the same question. I said, will this car take away sales from other products? And he said no, because he feels like Rolls-Royce customers already own another Rolls-Royce, and they will just buy this one as a second or third Rolls-Royce.
Yeah.
And I already know some customers that they're ordering 2 of them at a time, even though they have multiple Rolls-Royces. So essentially, I guess this one it's another model that just adds to the collection of somebody that loves Rolls-Royce, not necessarily replacing the Ghost or something like that. It just serves a different purpose. And then, of course, you got to look at the sustainability maybe angle, or maybe the eco-friendly angle. If you're in, let's say, Silicon Valley and you're a billionaire and you still want to look like you're very eco-friendly and green, now you can say, I can buy a Rolls-Royce that's all electric, and nobody's going to say you're driving a V12. So
as you roll up to Horatio's vineyard here in Rutherford Hill and areas like that here in Napa, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head there. It's like it's a combination of both what luxury people want, and it's green. In places like Europe, where you have all these different standards for emissions and things like that, this car is going to be sort of the vanguard there for people that want to see high-end, ultra luxury at this level. So, Horatio, thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it, dude. Usually it's me just blabbing away, but I like getting your informed BMW-focused take, because BMW is the current company of
Rolls-Royce.
Anyway, Horatio, thanks again, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Pras.